Today, in today's society, where our kind of music is not very prominently present, all kind of misunderstandings between composers and instrumentalists and musicians should be forgotten.
Creative dialogue is, in fact, it's a recreation of a musician's life, as it should ideally be.
It is a program that is unparalleled in the world and an incredible opportunity.
I would say that it's a space for composers and performers to meet and collaborate and to create new music and to push boundaries and to find new compelling forms of musical expression through a dialogue, through an open a conversation.
The idea was germinating for a long time. And then by chance, Magnus Lindberg and I happened to be performing in Santa Fe. We were housed at the Sequia Madre house. At the end of our stay in Santa Fe, the director of the Paloheimo Foundation came to ask us that would we have any ideas about something to do with Sibelius Academy in Santa Fe. And we jumped in immediately and said, yes, absolutely, we have an idea.
The idea was simple. It was that we would have been happy to share the experience we had together as composer and musician, the exchange we learned to make over the years, and seeing how fruitful it was for everybody.
That's the only rule we keep here. So
little by little, when the Finnish part of this was added, we found this alternation that each time we have a guest, each time there is something new also for us, that we don't repeat the situation. Otherwise, there would be the danger that we would become the professors who just simply tell people what to do. Last year in Santa Fe, we had David Poissonnière, who's a sound engineer and sound designer. But we had the challenges of bringing electronics into an old Adobe house. And it was a wonderful experience because it stretched not only the composers and performers, but also the whole venue had to find something new. What is great about Santa Fe, but also Kalliokuninkaala, is the cultural surroundings around these buildings. So that always leaves its mark in the compositions.
This time we have voice in focus, something that is clearly very useful. As an example, the very talented composers of today that we have here now, they have very little experience on vocal music. For some reason, they have not studied it much in their conservatories, and this seems to be a very common phenomenon because they come in different parts of the world. That means that when they start writing for voice, they have very unfocused idea what are the possibilities and what are the limitations. We have also 4 young singers, and Daniel Belcher, American baritone who is singing very much contemporary opera, but also he's all the time doing classic opera repertoire. So it's really interesting for the singers who they come from this classical singing and how they can use their techniques and their training to enter into contemporary music.
You're finding in Reben, I think now you're seeing it's kind of, as we start to feel the space here. It's great.
Voice is special because, of course, we all have it, and it has a very, very special kind of power. When you have the voice alone, even if it does something very simple, it suddenly became very touching in a way and very moving. And you have to be respectful of this kind of energy there is. The singer always think they have a kind of character, and I think a lot more about the sound. But I had to go toward the singer and try to explain what was I trying to do.
I find that many times with composers, they find an artist that, when they give them a piece of music, understands the soul immediately. There's not a lot of get-to-know-me time in there. And so our relationship, we were able to kind of jump in all on the same language. And this is what I'm thinking about when these composers come in, not knowing they're singers, not knowing the string players, and in many ways you can say it's trusting a complete stranger with something that is so personal, has so much soul in it.
One thing that they told us from the beginning is to dare to, so to speak, go out there, make mistakes, but make clear decisions and try out things. Which is also something that I myself need to be reminded of that from time to time, because the soundscape normally that we move in is quite a defined one, and it's easy to try to fit into a mold, where here we were encouraged to really experiment and do new things, especially when we were doing improvisations.
And then when you started...
The third day, something remarkable happened. Part of Anssi's approach in these creative dialogues, and it's something as well new to me in the way I work,
going to be better than ever.
is the inclusion of improvisation. On the third night, after a very long day of work, we had an improvisation session that I actually got to participate in. And for these few minutes, it was like an icebreaker. People were like testing the temperature of the water before they would get in. And then once everyone kind of got in, something magical happened. This trust that I'm talking about, this having each other's back, the way they listen to each other, the way they respond off each other, a sparkle in their eye, a smile on their face, because it's just simply listen, react, listen, react, listen, react, and all to play. No right answer, no wrong answer. From there, it's just, where does the imagination lead us? And literally from that moment, the next 7 days really took off.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it's supposed to be very soft.
I know, but do you want them to be equally soft?
Equally soft, most definitely.
So should I come up to Eric?
This kind of exchange, when you do it once and when you understand all the advantages and limitations, then next time I'm sure these composers will continue working with other singers, and that will be much more comfortable for them. And the singers have entered into contemporary music.
It was great to have the time to really understand the other person and try to find a way to get a good result in going toward each other.
I mean, I think that says it in the name of the program. It's a dialogue.
Yeah.
And that's the dialogue that we're learning, is how to have a dialogue between composer and performer where both feel really kind of honored in the dialogue.
I think it's more and more important as the world changes around us, to encourage these sorts of cultural dialogues between people from different backgrounds, different schoolings, different belief systems, and just a little thing like this. It's something to bring people together and to create mutual understanding. And I can't think of a more pressing time for things like this to happen.
I was so inspired. It requires a lot of us to put your ego on the shelf, to put whatever baggage you have on the shelf, or bring it in and let's stir the pot even more, you know. But to watch them breathe together, listen together, be inspired by each other's sound. One would make a sound and it would kind of feed the next person. Man, if we could only do that in the world as a collective. If we can do something like this in 10 days, there's no reason we shouldn't be able to solve the problems that lie in front of us.